Alright guys, HyDra again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far, and just because the pros of gentlemen's agreement in snaking for now does not necessarily mean that is going to be lasting. In scrums last night, especially in the challenger scene, all hell is breaking loose, and it seems they've given up on even trying to uphold this GA among the amateur set of players. The pro scene though is going better for now. Yes, there will be some instances of snaking. Scump and Pred seem convinced that hopefully the pros will uphold their word, and it makes the game play way better as a result. But naturally there will be drama when players either accidentally or on purpose utilize this in a scrim or certainly in a match. Very much enjoying your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Firstly, a couple of patch notes. We talked about the EOD padding the other day. There's also the search and destroy thing you guys probably know about. I think you have it in last year's game as well. If you slide while you're trying to plant or defuse the bomb, you can go way past the actual bomb site to the intended plant and defuse radius. That will now no longer be allowed. Also, yesterday, HyDra officially won the Esports Controller Player of the Year, of course. We had quite a lot of nominations from the COD scene. HyDra and Kismet were both nominated for Controller Player of the Year. Tough to look past HyDra in this one, to be honest. The season he had in Modern Warfare 2, especially on the SMG. To be honest, the most recent comparable season to what HyDra just did was Simp in 2021, and I'm pretty sure, did he not win the Esports Controller Player of the Year that year as well? Of course, on an SMG perspective. And then to find another season like HyDra just had, you have to look back to probably, you know, Scump, Black Ops 3, something like that. From an SMG perspective, of course, we had loads of other nominees. Not sure we really won much else. I think Potter won the Coach of the Year. Esports Team of the Year, I think, went to Vitality. It was Demon One, of course, that won Breakthrough Player of the Year instead of Scrappy. I think Uber won Play-by-Play Caster. I really wanted Chance to win at Color Caster, but I think it was Dan Gaskin, right, of I think Halo commentator that won that. So congratulations to all involved. Hopefully, Chance's time will come at some point or another. Now, ranked play, apparently it's coming kind of soon. I'm not convinced personally. It's expected to launch mid Modern Warfare 3 Season 1, and Season 1 starts pretty soon. So I don't know if that's meant to be January or exactly when, but yeah, it's meant to still be coming soon. But I'm not really sure we have too much of an update on this one, so I'm not exactly holding my breath. There's also some new maps arriving on December the 6th in Season 1. We got more of a look yesterday at these three maps. Rio, Greece, and Meat, of course, the map that we all want to succeed. I'm not going to go and, you know, make all the jokes again, but I know that lots of pros are looking forward to grinding on Meat. But here we go. This is the overview of the map. I don't know about this, right? Like, it looks kind of, I don't know, it looks kind of small to me. This is basically what you've got here on the right-hand side. Is there really 3 lanes? I'm not convinced. I don't know. Maybe for 4v4 it could kind of work, but just looking at this layout, if Scrapyard is too small, which it is, then Meat is probably too small. So that's unfortunate, but we'll see. Maybe it plays well, but I'm not necessarily holding my breath for this one. Now let's talk about the GAs and the snaking drama. I thought it was kind of cool that Ash as well put together basically like a contract for the players to sign on snaking and everything like this, and you know, to try and uphold said agreement. And it'd be pretty funny if they actually did kind of sign something, penalty clause, if there's you know, penalty, player must give 50 subs on Twitch, etc. etc. Kind of funny if they did this. The reality is they're just going to say, all right guys, let's just GA snaking, and therefore everyone is going to abide by this and the game's going to play much better, which is true as long as nobody breaks the GA. If you guys missed yesterday's news, snaking for the first time in many years has been officially gentlemen's agreemented by the pros. It was making the game borderline unplayable in certain instances. They also GA'd sound EQ online, and they GA'd single tap and ATS. Now, the great thing about this from a drama and a content perspective is that I am sure there will be accusations, whether legitimate or falsified, let's say, on players breaking some of this stuff. Now, snaking, it's kind of obvious to see. If somebody's blatantly snaking, it's obvious enough. But if somebody's using ATS or single tap to sprint, then it's actually not quite so clear, is it? Or single tap to tack sprint, I guess, is kind of technically what it is. But you guys know what I mean. You can't really tell, is someone just really cracked on the sticks, or, you know, have they double tapped it, or have they just tapped it once? And that's always the thing. And also sound EQ, someone gets heard. Are they using sound EQ? Are they not? So big questions, I think, on that one, but the snaking thing should be a little bit more clear cut. You're either snaking the heady up and down for 20 seconds, or you're not. Now, it's not quite so clear as that, though, because let's say you go up and down 1 time or 2 times. Is that the limit? Is twice the limit? Is the 3rd time when you're officially snaking? I don't know, and this is where the drama will inevitably unfold. Now, there's also another thing, because as JP says, the community wasn't happy that the pros were snaking again and again. They were telling us, well, you can't use smokes, can't use this, but yet they're perfectly happy to snake and, make the gameplay horrible to play and to watch. So the community gets another W against the pros. Now, Jacob says that the community is going to have to hold an L, though, on the smokes. I would be livid if they ever give in to that. So, Jacob basically, all right, Jacob has set the challenge. Like, can the community effectively bully the pros into putting the smokes in as well? Now, Ghosty comes out with his explanation and says, look, for some hills, they're absolutely necessary. For the rest of them, they they would make the gameplay worse. He says, would the game, would play worse? Whether he knows it'd play worse. I know some people have tried it with smokes, and some say it's better, some say it's worse. Some say, all right, use it on Invasion, maybe on Terminal, but not on the other maps. Okay, bit too much of a grey area possibly. Not sure the community's going to win out on this one, but to be honest, with no snaking in the game, it does make breaking hills easier, right? Because imagine you're trying to break a hill, they've got trophies. You have no smoke grenades. And they're snaking the heady, like, good luck, If they can't snake, or if it's not allowed, that's GA, they can snake, then you can actually feasibly win that gunfight or force them to back down from the fight. So I think that naturally, no snaking means that some of those kind of like unbreakable hills become somewhat easier because the guy can't just snake the heady, he either has to chal or back down, which is probably better for the team actually trying to break into some of these hard points. So yesterday, the scrims got underway with no snaking for pretty much the first time. They played some 8, right? And Clay we saw was snaking a bit. I was like, all right, I've got to get it out of my muscle memory because that's all I've been doing. But as Shotzzy says, go again, all right, guys, make sure we're snaking. Let's make sure we're not snaking before the first screw after the GA. So, yeah, hopefully they got that one sorted. However, in challenges, it seems already things are becoming somewhat problematic. So I'm pretty sure Looty and in the European Challenger scene, they agreed, all right, we're not going to do it over here. We agree with the pros in North America. Snaking is going to be gone. And they are upholding that, it seems, for the time being. But in North American challenges yesterday, that was not the case. Bitter says here, first scrim of the day, and Fellow and Co had their way as reptiles. There goes that GA. Now, Fellow, of course, a veteran, goes on to explain why this was the case, because apparently he was talking to people to try and GA it, and he was getting told that, oh no, we're too poor to not snake. I don't know what the explanation is here. They need the money from the tournaments or something, so they're going to snake anyway. I guess the feeling is that in challenges, there's maybe more players down there. The people are going to be, less willing to conform to a GA than the pros are. So some in challenges, including those that Fellow was talking to, are basically saying, well, we've given up even trying. It's not going to work. Somebody's going to break it, especially come like a Challengers Cup or something. So let's not even bother in the first place, which is frustrating because, one or two teams or one or two players even not agreeing to do it then means that Fellow's team was like, well, they're not agreeing to do it. So, why would we either? The problem is that if you're a pro team, why would you scrim a Challengers team if they're going to be snaking? You wouldn't. You're only going to scrim teams that also are agreeing not to do the snaking. So if you're a Challengers team trying to get practice against pro teams, which is really what you want to be doing, then during those scrims, you'd have to agree not to snake. But then if you're doing it against the Challenger teams, you're not playing the same situation. So yeah, classic crybaby cheese, to be honest. And as Fellow says, I tried to get Challengers kids to agree to double tap and snaking and the GA on that. The excuse was to not even attempt this, was we don't get free controllers, we are broke people, we're not agreeing. I guess the point is, okay, ATS or single tap sprints, it's going to break the controllers. But snaking also, it can't be particularly, your controller can't be so happy if you're snaking a heady again and again. So I don't really get this whole thing. It is what it is, I suppose. Am I surprised that it's not gone through in Challenges? Not especially. But in the pro scene, it is for the time being. Now, this is Dashy yesterday. People call this snaking. This is, I think, what he does here is perfectly reasonable. You see, he crouches and stands up. Now, I don't think this is snaking. Zuma actually in the reply says, no, look, as a commissioner, this is not snaking. It's definitely not the traditional snaking where you're going prone and doing it again and again behind a heady. I think what Dashy does here is perfectly reasonable. He crouches and stands up. He does it a couple of times. And I think that's perfectly fine. I mean, crouching and standing up has never been an issue because it doesn't create that same effect from the other person's perspective as when you snake, when you go slightly prone. and they simply can't really see. If you just crouch up and down, it's not as effective, it's not as big of a deal, and I think that, you know, if we are going to have movement like this in the game, which I think is fine, then that's a perfectly reasonable way to use it as far as I'm concerned. Obviously, there's a bit of controversy about this in the replies, as you might expect, and there was seemingly some snaking going on in scrims, as JP says, so that clearly they were scrimming against Los Angeles Thieves here, and he says, look at JoeDeceives, that was a close one on that terminal P5, we will let it slide for now. So apparently he was using it a bit. JoeDeceives, it's kind of nice that Joe's kind of you know, opening up to his error, his mistake on this one. He says, like, my bad, bro, I'm getting used to not doing it at the moment. Every time I almost do it, I apologize in comms. I hope you know that. So yeah, I like this JoeDeceives kid. I wish him the best for those boys this upcoming season. But as Pred says, after one day of practice with nobody snaking, you know, the game is way better. Now, he did reply, a little bit, it was kind of interesting here later on, about somebody potentially doing it, but he says, like, wow, the game feels so much better without snaking, which is like, wow, I can't possibly have guessed. Like, who could have predicted that without one of the most egregious mechanics in the game, when the pros agreed to get rid of it, which they did previously, but haven't done for the last few years for various reasons, the game is better. Now, as he says, spoke too early, maybe that's because JoeDeceives snaked him on Haley, I don't know. But I think that over time, if the pros do agree to try and uphold this, it will make the gameplay experience better for everybody. I'll share what Scump said on this as well, because when he was playing, mainly snaking was GA'd and it wasn't a thing that was done. He does say, though, that naturally there are always going to be, you know, instances of drama as a result of this.
Okay. I agree with you guys, man. I don't know. I feel like, I'm hoping the pros don't break this and they hold it. You know, because back in the day, we GA'd snaking. It actually kind of held. It would happen once in a blue moon, and it would be like, people would get really mad about it, but then, you know, you'd kind of move on.
So as Scump says, inevitably there are going to be cases in scrims or in matches when somebody kind of does it, maybe once or twice, and then, you know, kind of all hell could break loose. Now, whether that breaks loose to such an extent that people say, you know what, I've had enough of this, we're going back to just ruining the game again, or whether they say, all right, okay, that's annoying, but it's kind of just going to happen. And I think you've got to accept it. The pros are going to GA this. You've got to accept that on some occasions, it's kind of just going to happen, and it's unfortunate as it is, but that's the scenario. The question is, though, come a major grand final, whether that instance of snaking was, or maybe just slightly little bit of snaking, was that accidental, was that unintentional, or was that very intentional to win a particularly key gunfight in that scenario? So that's always the concern, but at the end of the day, it's a gentleman's agreement. The CDL is never going to do anything about it, right? If somebody gets snaked 1v1 for the grand finals at Champs, the CDL isn't going to say, no, that's void, the other team wins, because it's not in the rule set. So, you know, the pros have to uphold this. It's already clearly failed in challenges, it seems, at the very least. Maybe it's only a matter of time until hell breaks loose again in the pro scene, but I'm optimistic it can work. I mean, if FaZe agree, and if Cellium actually doesn't do it, I think that, I think we're in a good spot, to be honest. I think the pros can hopefully hold on to this for the time being. I know people say, oh no, they're not the gentlemen now that they used to be, but it's not like back in the day, these guys are massive gentlemen either. Like, let's be honest, the amount of trash talk and drama that used to go on, the roster changes, the snaking people, like, not snaking in game, but, you know, snaking teammates behind each other's backs, and all this type of stuff that used to go on back in these days. This is 2014, for example. You know, they could agree to stuff back then, but it's not like they were, you know, it's not like they were more mature individuals, I think, than we have today necessarily. So I'm confident the pros can make it work, but very much interested in your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.